When Caitlin walked into the Indiana training camp, the excitement was palpable. Everyone turned to look at her, filled with curiosity and hope. People started comparing her to the legendary Larry Bird, highlighting the high expectations and excitement surrounding Caitlin's game. Back in 1979, Larry Bird joined the Boston Celtics right after his college days at Indiana State. Before he arrived, the Celtics had just endured their worst season ever, finishing with a 23-59 record. But Bird's rookie season sparked a dramatic turnaround, with the Celtics achieving a 61-21 record and clinching the Atlantic Division title. This phenomenon became known as the Larry Bird effect. Could Caitlin Clark bring about a similar change for the Fever as Bird did for the Celtics? Last year, the Fever finished with a 13-27 record, and the year before, they had the worst record in the WNBA at 5-31. The potential for transformation is clear. Just as Bird took the Celtics from their worst season to division champions, Clark has the chance to revitalize the Fever. If she can replicate Bird's impact, she might lead the Fever back to playoff contention, something they haven't seen since Tamika Catching's last season in 2016.
That's new to me. I think no matter what is going to happen, there's always going to be expectations and pressure on my shoulders and pressure on this team to be really good, and that's how you want it. That's exactly, we wouldn't want anything else.
The excitement was palpable as the Indiana Fever kicked off their 2024 training camp at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The familiar sounds of sneakers on the court, swishing nets, and teammates communicating filled Salesforce Court as the Fever returned for their first day of on-court action. Most of the team was there, including stars like Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, ready for an intense 2-day training camp. Head coach Christy Sides and her coaching staff wasted no time putting the players through their paces, evaluating their skills and chemistry. For Clark, this was her first official practice as a professional player, and she didn't disappoint. She showed the same talent and determination that earned her accolades in college, eager to make her mark in the WNBA. Despite the challenges and whirlwind of recent months, Clark was grateful for the opportunity to be back on the court with her teammates.
I say I'm a pro by any means, but it's been fun. I think it definitely has a big city feel, but at the same time, it feels small and it's easy to get around. I mean, I'm staying mostly in downtown Indianapolis. I'm not driving everywhere yet.
As the Fever geared up for their preseason games, Clark felt the pressure and excitement of playing at the professional level. She seemed ready to see what the team could achieve, confident in their abilities. Caitlin Clark is set to make her WNBA debut with the Fever in the 3rd week of May, but she wants to remind everyone that she's human, not a magician. As the top pick in a highly anticipated WNBA draft class, the weight of expectations is heavy, but she's handling it well. She's urged people not to expect miracles right away, emphasizing the importance of giving herself grace as she transitions to the pros. Clark acknowledges that perfection isn't realistic and that there will be challenges. She's not aiming to score 40 points per game from the start. Instead, she plans to learn from her teammates, enjoy the journey, and stay true to herself. The excitement around Caitlin is so strong that even her workout sessions have become viral sensations. During her first Indiana Fever workout on Tuesday, a 15-second clip of her shooting around quickly gained traction online. As the #1 pick in the recent WNBA draft, Clark showed her skills by going a perfect 5 for 5 in the video. This impressive performance follows her remarkable college career, where she became the NCAA's all-time leading scorer with 3,951 points at Iowa. Fever's training camp has captivated fans more than ever. During a scrimmage, Caitlin impressed everyone by dribbling past a male player and nailing a three-pointer. A fan posted a video of the play online, dubbing it, "Caitlin Clark broke his ankle." Due to how she faked out her opponent, teammate Erica Wheeler cheered her on with a playful "bye-bye boy" as the guy tried to keep up and nearly twisted his ankle. Dick's Sporting Goods even chimed in on social media, praising Erica for her support. Erica, who has been playing in the WNBA for 9 years, has been a big fan of Clark's from day one. Despite being a star and the top pick by the Fever from Iowa, Clark is still considered a rookie. Erica noted, "She's one of the best players in the world right now, but she's so humble. She's always asking for advice and trying to improve." Clark understands there's a big difference between college and professional basketball, but she's ready for the challenge. She's excited about the faster pace of the WNBA, saying it suits her style. "The coaches here have been watching me for a while and have some great plays lined up," Clark said. "I feel like I'm in good shape since I just played in the NCAA championship game." She's been keeping busy with basketball and feels confident and ready to make her mark in the WNBA. As Caitlin's fame continues to rise, Indiana is also seeing a boost in new advertising partnerships. The Indiana Fever, influenced by Caitlin Clark's selection, recently signed a major ad deal with Indiana-based pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly. This partnership introduces jersey ads to the WNBA, following a trend seen across various professional sports leagues. Starting this season, Eli Lilly's logo will appear on the left shoulder of Fever jerseys, highlighting the growing collaboration between sports and business in the state. Pacers Sports and Entertainment CEO Rick Fuson expressed excitement about the partnership, emphasizing its potential to bring attention to important issues such as support for female athletes and community health initiatives in Indiana.
Edub compared Indiana to Hollywood when we talked to her. I know the excitement has kind of followed you for a little while, but I'm curious your spin on that and Indiana in particular.
I'll agree with Edub there, I guess. I don't know.
The excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark is unprecedented, and fans are eager to see her off the court just as much as on it. Fans are gearing up to watch Caitlin Clark make her WNBA debut this Friday, with the Indiana Fever set to take on the Dallas Wings in a preseason game. Despite being an exhibition match, ticket prices have surged, even surpassing those for a crucial NBA playoff game in Clark's new hometown. As of Wednesday afternoon, the cheapest ticket for the Fever vs. Wings game was a whopping $595 on TickPick. Located in Section 209, Row MM at the College Park Center in Arlington, Texas, including all fees. These prices are comparable to many regular season NBA tickets, and notably higher than the entry price for Thursday night's Pacers-Bucks NBA playoff game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, which stood at $36 for the cheapest ticket on TickPick. The high ticket prices for the Fever Wings game can be attributed to the limited seating capacity at the College Park Center, which can only accommodate around 7,000 spectators. This situation has prompted several WNBA teams to upgrade their arena arrangements in anticipation of matches against the Indiana Fever. The Fever, in turn, hosted all their games that season at Gainbridge Fieldhouse after previously playing at the smaller Indiana Farmers Coliseum. Other WNBA teams, like the Las Vegas Aces and Washington Mystics, also shifted their home games against the Fever to larger NBA-sized arenas to meet the demand from fans. The WNBA's Dallas Wings experienced a historic moment as they sold out season tickets for the first time in the franchise's history just before their preseason opener against the Indiana Fever on May 3rd. The anticipation surrounding Caitlin Clark's debut with the Fever fueled a surge in ticket demand, driving up sales for the Dallas team. Individual ticket prices for Clark's preseason debut ranged from $210 to $350, with some exceeding $1,000 in certain sections, according to UTA Tickets. The Wings also saw a significant increase in overall ticket sales revenue, with a staggering 220% rise, including an impressive 1,200% surge in individual ticket sales revenue, according to the Dallas Morning News. This surge highlights the profound impact of Clark's presence on both the Fever and the wider WNBA community.
And here is the women's basketball world choosing to reject the attention that is finally coming their way by rejecting Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA has really missed out by passing on Caitlin Clark. She's not just any rookie, she's the most exciting thing to happen to the WNBA, NCAA, and women's basketball in general. But here's an intriguing twist. She got left out of the Team USA women's basketball roster. Talk about a major surprise for 2024.
Look, let's be honest. Most people didn't even know they had women's basketball in the Summer Olympics. Now you have a chance to do this, and you don't take it, so here.
In basketball, having top-notch skills and fierce competitiveness can overshadow even the biggest teams worldwide, and Caitlin Clark embodies all of that. So, what could be behind Team USA's decision not to include the Indiana Star rookie? First, let's take a look at Clark's performance in her rookie year with the WNBA. Despite the Indiana Fever's 3-for-29 season, Clark shined individually, averaging 16.8 points, 6.3 assists, and 5.3 rebounds. Her performance and impact are unprecedented for a rookie in the WNBA. So why isn't she on the Team USA roster? Experience can't be the excuse, considering the USA national basketball team's history of selecting rookies. Since women's basketball was added to the Olympics in 1976, at least 2 players under 25 have been included in every Olympic roster. The youngest ever to play for the USA women's team was Nancy Lieberman at 18 in 1976. In the Tokyo Games, the youngest were Asia Wilson and Nafisa Collier, both 24. Additionally, there's a precedent for including the top WNBA draft pick in Olympic years, such as Diana Taurasi in 2004, Candace Parker in 2008, and Breanna Stewart in 2016. The U.S. team didn't include Ndamukadi Agwumaike in the lineup back in 2012, even though she was with Los Angeles and now Seattle. Now, Caitlin Clark finds herself in a similar situation. During her time at Iowa, Clark became the Division I career scoring leader for both men and women, finishing with 3,951 points. She also reached the national championship game in both her junior and senior years.
Look, let's be honest. Most people didn't even know they had women's basketball in the Summer Olympics. Now you have a chance to do this, and you don't take it, so here.
However, selecting Clark would have meant more than just highlighting her story. It would have introduced Olympic viewers and readers, many of whom aren't avid sports fans or haven't seen a women's Olympic basketball game, to the entire U.S. team. If you hadn't seen Breanna Stewart in her previous Olympic appearances, you would have tuned in this summer because of Clark's star power. The same goes for Brittany Griner. If she's healthy, she won't be there, and thus, many fans won't follow, as they usually don't. Imagine the global interest Clark could have generated, with reporters and fans from around the world watching her make stunning plays and signing autographs. Little girls in Europe and Africa might have been just as captivated as those in the USA. It all comes down to USA Basketball, whose mission is to promote, grow, and elevate the game at all levels. Missing out on representing your country in the Olympics is undoubtedly disheartening, and Caitlin Clark likely felt that way when she learned she hadn't made the 12-player roster for the Paris Games. On Sunday, Caitlin Clark and Fever coach Christy Sides addressed the news for the first time since it was announced that the top overall pick didn't make Team USA's final roster for the 2024 Olympics in Paris next month. Clark maintained her usual calm demeanor when reacting to the news, but Sides revealed her star's immediate response. Clark got the call while on the bus and texted Sides to share the news. Sides tried to keep her spirits up, and Clark's reaction was, "Hey coach, they woke a monster," which Sides found impressive. Clark noted that the team's mix of talent and experience, none of the players being younger than 26, was a key factor in her not making the roster. Despite this, Clark expressed enthusiasm for the players who did make the team. She said, "I'm excited for the girls on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and it could have gone either way, with me being on the team or not. I'll be rooting for them to win gold. Watching the Olympics has always been a dream for me, and this just adds motivation. Hopefully, in 4 years, I can be there." Clark was invited to the most recent training camp in April, which would have been her first chance to work with the senior national team, but she couldn't attend due to the Final Four. Nonetheless, she gave herself a strong chance with a standout rookie season. However, She has faced challenges with the physicality of the game and leads the league in turnovers, averaging 5.6 per game. These issues, along with the talent and experience of the players ahead of her, seem to be the reasons she didn't make the final roster. According to Christine Brennan of USA Today, Team USA veterans were concerned about how Clark's large fan base might react if she were chosen, but received limited playing time. Clark didn't go into details about the decision, but mentioned that USA Basketball called her to deliver the news before it was publicly leaked on social media. On the bright side, Clark will finally get a break when the WNBA takes a pause for the Olympics. She's been playing almost non-stop since her senior season at Iowa started in October. Once the Fever finish their pre-Olympic schedule on July 17th, they won't play again until August 16th. "I'm really looking forward to a break," Clark said. "I've loved every second of competing, but it will be great to rest, get healthy, and take a bit of time away from basketball. It'll be nice to find some peace and quiet for myself." There's a slight chance Clark could still join the team as an injury replacement. Notably, Chelsea Gray, who was selected, hasn't played in 8 months due to a foot injury, and it's unclear when she'll return. As one of the top playmakers, Clark could be next in line if Gray isn't back in time. However, Clark is focusing on the Fever and their effort to climb out of the 11th seed. "If USA Basketball needs something, I have a good relationship with them. But the 12 players they've selected are really great," Clark said. "I think they're in good hands. Cheryl Reeve is a great coach, and the selection committee did a really good job." Some media personalities suggest that not making Team USA could turn out to be a blessing in disguise for Clark. Jamel Hill, formerly of ESPN, suggested that not competing for the gold medal might actually be beneficial for Clark. In just a few weeks, Clark transitioned from college basketball to becoming a professional and dealing with a demanding schedule. A multi-week break could be just what she needs, Hill mentioned in an X post. Clark had almost no offseason. Her college career ended on April 7th after a long 6-month season, and just a week later, she was the first overall pick in the WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever. She started practicing almost immediately, with the Fever's preseason beginning 11 days before the WNBA season kicked off on May 14th. The WNBA season will take a nearly month-long break for the Olympics.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
The trolls are acting without class and are trending on Twitter after LSU star Angel Reese taunted Caitlin Clark with John Cena's "You can't see me" gesture after their win. Not just fans, but also sports commentator Keith Olbermann criticized Reese with a harsh tweet, calling her an I-word and warning her about the backlash that comes with messing with a new star who attracts thousands of new fans to basketball. It all began with these two basketball players, Reese from LSU and Clark from Iowa, becoming household names for sports fans with their record-breaking performances in the March Madness tournament. The NCAA's most valuable players seem to have a tense relationship, with Reese alleging that Clark had disrespected several of her friends and teammates throughout the tournament. Here's a breakdown of the two stars and their rivalry. Reese and Clark faced off in the championship game, where Reese's LSU Tigers ultimately triumphed with a 102-85 win. In the game's final moments, viewers saw Reese respond to Clark's taunts, which drew significant online criticism. Reese mimicked Cena's "You can't see me" gesture and pointed to her ring finger, signaling their championship victory, all while staring Clark down. During their post-game press conferences, both players addressed the situation. Clark, displaying her sportsmanship, responded to questions about Reese's taunts by saying, "Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line, shake hands, and express gratitude that my team was in that position." She emphasized the importance of holding one's head high and being proud of their achievements. This is how a star beloved by fans reacts. On the other hand, Angel Reese had a different take. In her post-game interview, Reese acknowledged Clark as a hell of a player, but noted that Clark had disrespected her teammate Alexis Morris during the title game. Reese made it clear that she doesn't take disrespect lightly. Since their post-game interviews, both Reese and Clark have addressed the discussions surrounding their taunts. Speaking with ESPN, Clark defended Reese, saying, "I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. No matter which way it goes, she should never be criticized for what she did." Clark further demonstrated her class, stating, "I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk throughout the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel." Despite her tearful post-game interview, Clark spoke to ESPN, acknowledging that the LSU Tigers rightfully earned their NCAA championship over her team. LSU deserved it. They played so well, and like I said, I'm a big fan of hers, Clark said of Reese. Clark's behavior off the court is truly exemplary. She always takes the time to appreciate other players, even though she rarely gets the same recognition in return. ESPN reported that Dr. Jill Biden was thinking about inviting both teams from the title game to the White House. This would be the first time the runner-ups were included in the celebratory visit. "So, I know we'll have the champions come to the White House. We always do," Jill said, according to CNN. "We hope LSU will come, but you know, I'm going to tell Joe I think Iowa should come too because they played such a good game." Reese shared the link to ESPN's story and added a joke with 3 laughing emojis, saying, "Can you see the jealousy and the hate?"
Really need to recognize what's going on, the success of the league, and when it comes to Caitlin Clark, they need to quit being quote-unquote petty and hating on Caitlin. And they just can't do it. Angel Reese just can't do it.
The First Lady eventually decided against inviting both teams, but the damage had already been done, according to Reese and the LSU Tigers. Stuff like that bothers me because, at the end of the day, you're a woman and you're supposed to be standing behind us, Reese said on the I Am Athlete podcast. "It's hard to see things like that and not comment back on it." Reese continued, "I'm not going to lie to you. I don't accept the apology. You can't take back certain things you say. You felt like they should have come because of sportsmanship, right? They can have that spotlight. We'll go to the Obamas. I'm going to see Michelle. I'm going to see Barack." Reese's comments sparked reactions from Caitlin's fans, who roasted Reese as a result. After the Chicago Sky beat the New York Liberty 90-81 on Thursday night, Reese, a former LSU star, appeared to take a dig at Caitlin Clark in a now-deleted tweet. Reese has been crucial to the Chicago Sky's success, contributing an impressive 35 points in 2 of the first 3 victories of the season. Following their latest win, Reese tweeted, "And that's on getting a win in a packed area, not just because of one player on our charter flight," which many speculated was aimed at Clark, the standout rookie for the Fever. Clark's transition to the professional level has undeniably contributed to the growth of the WNBA, bringing in charter flights for the league. Several basketball fans did not take kindly to Reese's comment. One fan mocked her college GPA, saying, "That 1.8 GPA showing LOL," while another said, "Angel should be thankful to Caitlin Clark because she's the main reason behind the great attention the WNBA's getting right now. She should be more grateful." Others looked forward to June 1st when Reese would face Clark's team, with one fan asking, "Why is she so obsessed with Clark? I haven't seen Clark bring up Reese once." Other fans labeled many women players as haters of Clark, noting, "It's truly amazing how much these women hate Clark, LOL." Reese's profile rose because of the rivalry. Otherwise, she might have been just another WNBA player. One fan even challenged the vague meaning of her tweet, saying, "What did she say? I read the tweet 10 times and still can't understand what she's trying to say." Despite the intense competition and scrutiny surrounding their games, Reese has tried to show some respect for Clark. In April's highly anticipated LSU-Iowa March Madness matchup, Reese clarified that there was no animosity between her and Clark. After LSU's loss to Iowa in the Elite Eight, the 2 players shared a hug in the handshake line, with Reese whispering encouraging words to Clark. Reese revealed that Clark told her to continue being a great player And Reese reciprocated by encouraging Clark to keep elevating the game and win it. This moment highlighted the respect and admiration they have for each other as athletes, despite their fierce competition on the court. Both players have admitted that their rivalry isn't personal. Reese explained that outside the game, they can be friendly and supportive of each other. She acknowledged that people often misinterpret their competitive nature as hatred, but in reality, they respect each other and understand the nature of the game. However, recent events paint a different picture. Reese recorded an impressive stat line with 17 points and 20 rebounds in 36 minutes before fouling out with under 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. On the other hand, Clark delivered a stellar performance, finishing with 41 points, including 9 three-pointers, 12 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1 block, leading Iowa to the Final Four.
It is still a team game, and but I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills.
LeBron James has chosen to focus on the positive impact Caitlin Clark is having on the WNBA in her rookie season, despite the early struggles and criticism faced by players like Angel Reese. James praised Clark for boosting interest and viewership in women's basketball, highlighting her significant contributions to the sport's growth. The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport is that more people want to watch, more people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Caitlin Clark is the reason a lot of great things are going to happen for the WNBA, James said. James is absolutely right. Clark's impact is substantial. She is a major reason behind the increased viewership and support for women's basketball. Caitlin Clark's talent is undeniable, and she's been proving it from her very first games. Even the biggest names in history need time to showcase their full potential, especially in major leagues like the NBA and WNBA. As Clark continues to get acclimated to the WNBA, her mindset and skills are being honed to make her an even more formidable player. Her quick learning ability is evident in her evolving perspectives. Before her debut as a rookie, Clark didn't see much difference between the NCAA and the WNBA. "I don't think it'll be any different from college," Clark said. "I've played in front of big crowds every single game, so these environments don't scare me or affect me at all. I think just embrace it and enjoy it. I'm sure there will be a lot of basketball fans here who really appreciate the game." However, her perception shifted after her first game. She has since admitted several times that the WNBA game is much more physical than she anticipated. She experienced this physicality firsthand during the Indiana Fever's third straight loss on Saturday. "The physicality is definitely up there. I'm easily pushed off screens," Clark told reporters. "The game seems a little fast for me right now, but the more I play and the more comfortable I get, it's going to slow down a bit. It'll be easier for me to make reads and see things develop." Clark is quickly adapting to the game, showing significant improvement with each match. On Monday, the Fever nearly secured a win, but narrowly lost 88-84 to the Connecticut Sun. Clark scored 17 points, hitting 5 of 11 shots and making all 4 free throws. Despite injuring her ankle, she played for 27 minutes, adding 5 assists, 3 rebounds, and 5 turnovers. Although the Fever lost, the game was a clear sign of their progress. Veteran guard Kelsey Mitchell, who started the season with an ankle injury, has been regaining her form, which has benefited Clark. In the final moments of Monday's game, Clark played a key role, contributing to 17 of the Fever's 23 fourth-quarter points. The excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark is at an all-time high, and for good reason. Some frustrated fans have even edited the Wikipedia page of Indiana head coach Christy Sitz following Clark's first 2 WNBA preseason games. Clark played in 2 preseason matches for the Fever, but has not yet participated in a regular season game. Fans are already expressing their dissatisfaction with side's management of Clark, who is expected to be a key player in the WNBA. Clark had a strong preseason debut against the Dallas Wings, but shot 4 for 12 in last Thursday's game against the Atlanta Dream. Sides commented on Clark's performance, saying, I think she's used to some shots that she's taken in the last few years that are just those shots she's going to get open looks. She's got to figure it out. I gave her a rule the other day. She has 0.5 seconds to make a decision. Christy Sides also talked about Clark needing to change some habits. When she gets off the ball and hits someone in the high post, she tends to hang out and dance around. That's something she's used to doing, and it's a habit we need to break. One of Clark's upset fans even accused Sides of trying to undermine Clark's game, editing Sides' Wikipedia page to claim she's the only coach capable of damaging what the WNBA aims to achieve with Clark. The edited entry in the Indiana Fever section reads, Sides got her first head coaching job in 2022 when she was hired as the 9th head coach in Indiana Fever franchise history and the only coach that could possibly ruin what the WNBA is on track to accomplish by ruining Caitlin Clark's game. During Caitlin Clark's pre-game warm-up in Brooklyn on Saturday, she paused for an interview with NBC's Today hosts Hoda Kotb and Jenna Bush Hager. Later, she posed in uniform with Trailblazer Billie Jean King. In between, Clark played a game, scoring a career-high 22 points with 8 assists and 6 rebounds. Notable figures like Jason Sudeikis, Megan Rapinoe, Sue Bird, and Dawn Staley watched as she dominated the court. Clark's first week in the WNBA highlighted both her star power and the challenges of transitioning from college to the pros. She debuted in Connecticut and Indianapolis, and following her first game in New York City, she received mixed reactions. Fans eagerly awaited wearing number 22 shirts and holding signs, and Clark tried to accommodate as many selfie and autograph requests as possible. Caitlin acknowledged that she needs to handle physicality better, be more decisive in navigating screens, and develop more chemistry with Indiana's posts. She assisted last year's Rookie of the Year, Aaliyah Boston, on 4 of Boston's 12 field goals in 2023. Indiana guard Erica Wheeler assisted Boston on 24% of her field goals, according to PBP stats. Clark's assists to Boston haven't been evenly distributed across games. The Fever knows they have much to improve on as a team. Through 3 games, they are allowing 18 fast break points and 17.3 second chance points per game, both second highest in the WNBA, a significant drop from last year. Their defense is conceding more than 116 points per 100 possessions, the worst in the league. Failing to contest shooters in the first half of their loss to New York on Saturday was as damaging as any offensive issues. Clark often talks about the importance of being kind to herself. She's seen both the ups and downs of being a pro, becoming the first WNBA player to record 21 turnovers in their first 21 games, and the second after Candace Parker to achieve over 50 points, 15 assists, and 10 rebounds, according to Across the Timeline. I know people expect me to do amazing things, but it might take some time, she said on Tuesday. On Saturday, she added, I think the more we play together, the better our chemistry will be. Despite the Fever's 0-3 start, Coach Christy Sides noted progress. The team faced tough losses, including a 21-point defeat to Connecticut and a 36-point blowout on Thursday. Before Saturday's game, Sides stressed the need to compete and asked her team to understand what that looks and feels like. The 11-point loss to New York showed more of the fight Sides wanted. We couldn't figure that out the other night, and that was so frustrating, Sides said. Now we kind of have an idea of where we are. The Fever are a young team with potential, competing against some of the WNBA's best. This is going to take a little time, All-Star guard Kelsey Mitchell said on Saturday. Mitchell, recovering from an ankle injury, came off the bench in Indiana's first 2 games. Playing against the best of the best is the only way we're going to get better. During one sequence in the second quarter on Saturday, Clark missed a deep 3-pointer, giving the ball back to Liberty. On New York's next offensive possession, Ionescu faked a pass, then nailed a 3 while Clark failed to contest. Running back on defense, Ionescu shrugged as if to say Clark shouldn't have left her open. She never stops moving, Clark said of Ionescu. She's always on the move, always got a bounce in her feet, and I think that's something I can try to replicate in my game. Clark is getting used to her new pro routine. At Iowa, the Hawkeyes would sometimes show up 90 minutes before tip-off, warm up, and play. But for Tuesday's opener at Mohegan Sun Arena, she arrived more than 2 hours early. In the locker room, Clark ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and joked with Wheeler while getting a massage. She's not used to being at the gym this early, so I told her she needs to find things to do, whether that's stretching, watching film, or filling the time, Wheeler said. Clark hasn't had much downtime, as Indiana's opening stretch includes 7 games in 12 days, with matchups against the Sun, Seattle Storm, and Las Vegas Aces in the next week. When asked about her activities outside of basketball, Clark said, "I'm about to move into my apartment, so I'm moving out of the hotel. That's fun." Veteran Fever Center Mika Catchings praised Clark's composure, saying, "I'm so proud of how she is as a person. I just hope we can band around her. It's a lot of pressure." Clark, handling pressure from both her team and the sport, is focused on playing fast and competing. She looks forward to visiting new arenas and making memories.
Not a flagrant foul penalty one, which it probably should have been upon review, at least by our account. This, you could have gotten Reese for a personal, but can also see that being a no call.
Fans are really upset that nobody from Caitlin Clark's team is there to back her up as she faces tough times on the court. It's unfair for Caitlin and pretty sad from Angel Reese's perspective. While many NBA and WNBA veterans have shown their support for Clark, Angel McCoughtry took it to the next level. She's offered herself to the Indiana Fever, ready to come in and defend Clark.
Caitlin, she's a great player. I'm a fan of her. You know, I think, are girls jealous? I don't know. She got $28 million from Nike.
She's getting a $28 million deal from Nike, which is huge considering that half of the WNBA players won't even make $1 million in their entire careers. A retired 5-time WNBA All-Star has stepped up, offering to be Caitlin Clark's bodyguard as she keeps getting targeted by other players. Angel McCoughtry, now 37, weighed in on the recent buzz surrounding Caitlin Clark after Chennedy Carter's cheap shot on Saturday. Clark's fans are hoping for someone to step in and protect the Indiana Fever star since her current teammates aren't doing much. Speaking with TMZ Sports, McCoughtry said she's willing to come out of retirement to be Clark's bodyguard if the Fever needs one. She's got more than just a tough attitude on the court. The 2-time WNBA scoring champion, drafted first overall in 2009, sounds ready for a fight.
Lead. McCoughtry skying in, able to finish in the foul.
Take care of your players, all of y'all, McCoughtry said.
Take care of your players, all of y'all. I mean, I don't care who it is.
McCoughtry said it boldly, showing her willingness to join the Indiana Fever to defend and support Caitlin Clark. Former NBA players and others in the basketball community have raised concerns about protecting Clark as some WNBA players try to gain a physical and psychological edge over her. Fellow WNBA players seem to think they can make a name for themselves by targeting Caitlin Clark. Meanwhile, Fever teammates have passively watched as Clark gets pushed around on the court. During Saturday's win over the Chicago Sky, Fever players stood by as Chennedy Carter unnecessarily hip-checked Clark on an inbound pass. Since that dirty play, no Fever teammates have stepped up to defend Clark or voice their support. McCoughtry added, "I don't care who it is. If somebody's dragging your player down by the neck, I'm in your face. What the hell are you doing? Hey, we could go have lunch later, but right now, we're competing. Don't grab my player like that."
I'm gonna step up for you. Somebody get my teammate face. Here I am.
Why is that happening, Angel?
After receiving a lot of criticism from fans and veterans like McCoughtry, Indiana Fever players have shown their intent to fiercely defend rookie sensation Caitlin Clark. They've been facing a whirlwind of opinions accusing them of not safeguarding their star player. The #1 pick in the recent WNBA draft has endured a lot of physical play, sparking debates over her teammates' protective efforts. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the team's leaders, addressed these criticisms head-on after a recent practice, stating, "At the end of the day, not only is she human, but she's a 22-year-old kid. There are certain things she's going to experience over time," Mitchell said.
She deserves to give herself some grace, and I think a lot of people around this world should too. And I think that at the end of the day, not only is she human, she's a 22-year-old kid.
It's our job as a team to make sure she's covered from a standpoint of feeling mentally and physically safe. Obviously, we want her to feel at home all the time, stressed Mitchell.
She's going to transition. There's going to be things that she's just going to experience that comes with time. And I think that the world should give her some grace. I really do. And I think that's our job as a team to like make sure that she's covered from the standpoint of like feeling mentally and physically safe, obviously, but like, you know, psychologically, we want her to, you know, at the end of the day, she got to go home and sleep. So that's our deal. We want her to feel at home all the time.
The backlash intensified after a controversial incident involving Chicago Sky's Chennedy Carter during a heated game. Carter shoved Clark to the ground, and the Fever players were criticized for their slow response and lack of confrontation towards Carter's antics. Angel Reese and other Sky members even applauded the cheap shot, highlighting the contrasting reactions between the two teams. This behavior has alarmed many, including politicians. Indiana Representative Jim Banks is demanding answers from the WNBA to ensure Clark is protected from such incidents. Banks sent a letter to Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, seeking details on the league's plans to safeguard Clark. In his letter, Banks praised the increased fan interest in women's basketball that Clark has generated before referencing Carter's seemingly unprovoked foul. He also mentioned that the foul was visibly cheered on by Carter's teammate Angel Reese. While acknowledging the state's familiarity with tough basketball, Banks described the incident as a cheap shot that could have resulted in an injury and should not be tolerated. He criticized the lack of punishment for Carter beyond a retroactive upgrade to a flagrant foul and some unrelated fines for missing media appearances. To Banks, this indicates that the WNBA isn't holding hostile players accountable or enforcing their own rules of sportsmanship. Banks posed several questions to the commissioner, including what steps the WNBA is taking to curb excessive physical targeting of specific players, whether individual organizations will be held responsible for allowing players with histories of violence to target their competitors, and if repeatedly diminishing fellow players' talents benefits the league's overall success. He also asked if it is inspiring to young female athletes to see players like Caitlin Clark physically targeted for their success. There's no question that many WNBA players have struggled to hide their resentment towards Clark for the attention and money she generates through endorsement deals. The WNBA's only hope of achieving lasting relevance in the broader sports landscape is by creating and sustaining stars. Clark is essentially the first star of this magnitude the league has had in years, if not ever. It is not in the league's best interest to allow other players to target her, especially if that targeting leads to injury. Banks' questions are crucial, and the WNBA's answers may be even more so.
What an incredible talent she is, 2 Final Fours, leading scorer, history of college basketball. So I look forward to watching her ongoing development in the league.
But the response to this letter from the WNBA commissioner is epic. Speaking at his usual press conference ahead of the NBA Finals on Thursday, League Commissioner Adam Silver addressed the flagrant foul by Chicago Sky guard Chennedy Carter on Indiana Fever player Caitlin Clark last weekend. He called it a welcome to the league moment, adding that it's nothing new in basketball.
It's nothing new in basketball that there's sort of welcome to the league moments.
Carter's off-ball foul against Caitlin Clark on Saturday has sparked an outcry from critics, who argue that Carter appeared to go out of her way to throw her hip and shoulder into Clark, who had her back turned and fell to the ground after the foul. Silver addressed a wide range of topics, including Clark's rising stardom in the league, the future of the WNBA, and an upcoming media rights deal. Of course, I want to see Caitlin Clark treated fairly and appropriately in the league, Silver told reporters. I would say it seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player.
Of course, I want to see Caitlin treated fairly and appropriately in the league. I would say it seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player.
Following the foul on Saturday, Clark told reporters she was doing her best not to let it get to her. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple of hard shots a game, and that's what it is. I'm trying not to let it bother me and just stay in the game and focus on what's important, because usually it's the second person that gets caught if you retaliate. Silver called the passionate interest in Clark, as well as her rivalry with Chicago star player Angel Reese, very healthy for women's basketball and the league.
I think ultimately this is very healthy for women's basketball in the WNBA.
It's generating a lot of extra interest, Silver said. To be fair to the other players and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, this didn't just start this year. He noted that while the WNBA has had several star players in recent years, Clark has significantly increased interest in the league.
It's generating tremendous additional interest. In fairness to the other players and in fairness to Commissioner Engelbert, this didn't just start this year. Certainly, we're seeing an acceleration of it with Caitlin, but many individual stars who came in this league in the last several years, and then again, I've been with the league for a long time, so I was there the early days with Val Ackerman, and of course David Stern when we developed the WNBA.
If you look back at our original business plan from 28 years ago, we didn't anticipate it would take this long to achieve the level of popularity we're seeing now, Silver said. Ultimately, I don't want to make too big of a deal about one player or one call. However, the growing rivalries in professional basketball, both between teams and individual players, can be beneficial for the sport, he continued.
If you went back and looked at our original business plan from 28 years ago, we didn't think it would be such a long timeline to kind of break into the sort of popularity we're seeing now. So ultimately, I don't want to make too big an issue about one particular player, one particular call, but I think the burgeoning rivalries in professional basketball, you see rivalries obviously among clubs, but also among individual players too. And I think that can be ultimately good for the sport.
Earlier this week, ESPN host Pat McAfee apologized for referring to Clark as a white bee.
I utilized the words white bee to describe Caitlin Clark as being the superstar. Those were not my intentions, but that's how you took it. That's on me. I do apologize.
During a segment discussing whether race has influenced the WNBA rookie's rapid rise, Silver said he accepted McAfee's apology and considered it a misstep. Regardless of the commissioner's views, Caitlin's growing fan base and her exciting yet kind style of play are what's truly genuine. There are unlucky moments in the NBA, and then there are even worse ones, like missing a game-winning shot by just an inch or celebrating a bit too early. This video highlights some of those unfortunate moments. For example, all New Orleans needed was one defensive stop to win, but instead, a player accidentally tipped the ball into his own team's basket.
Incredible. That might be one of the most unbelievable things I've seen.
Goran Dragic was on defense when the ball took an unfortunate bounce.
Step forward. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
This fan decided to propose to his girlfriend in front of thousands of people, but things didn't go as planned. First, she tried to lean in and tell him it wasn't the right time. Then she just ran off, leaving the poor guy on center court doing the walk of shame with a mascot. If that's not unlucky, I don't know what is. And even Michael Jordan, the GOAT who rarely makes mistakes, has had his share of bad luck, like the time he went for a layup and the ball got stuck.
Oh, look at
this. In this play, not only does Steven Adams get scored on by the player he was guarding, but the ball also ended up in the most unfortunate spot after going in. Luckily, it didn't cost him the game, because with just 1 second left and the Heat down by 3, Bam Adebayo got the ball and tossed up a prayer.
There's the miss.
Oh, wow.
Holy cow!
Wow.
That ball was just inches away from being the luckiest shot ever, but Glenn Davis was inches away from seriously hurting someone. He chased after a loose ball and ended up crashing into some fans. Imagine paying a ton of money for those seats, only to get flattened by a 300-pound player. Now, that's unlucky, but some fans have it even worse. Like this girl who bought courtside seats only to find herself sitting behind the tallest guy in the league, 7'6" Taco Fall. Seriously, either get her a booster seat or give her a refund. This is ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, James Harden once made a dunk that the refs didn't even count.
Oh, he missed
As the game was winding down, the Hawks needed a bucket to secure the win. But when Trae Young went to score, the ball got stuck on the rim. His teammates couldn't believe it. And speaking of disbelief, you won't believe what a referee did to Steph Curry. It was a perfect pass if the target was his face. Then there's Kemba Walker, who pulled up from 3 and started celebrating a bit too early. Honestly, I would have been dancing too. It looked like it was going in, and I could have sworn Baron Davis won the game for the Hornets with a buzzer-beating 3, but the refs ended up calling it off.
Davis at the buzzer! No, yes, no! It's waved off! Bernie Fryer says no, it will not count!
That ref must have been watching a completely different game because that shot should have counted. And speaking of shots that should have counted for something, this next one really should have. A fan had the chance to win 6 months of rent paid, and then this happened.
3, 2, 1. Oh, man!
I guess he's stuck paying that mortgage because this guy was left scratching his head after his free throw touched every part of the rim and somehow didn't go in. What more can you do? It was in twice and still missed. Sometimes, it's just not meant to be. Just ask Kevin Durant. The Nets needed a three-pointer to win the Eastern Conference semifinals, and when KD took his shot, he needed to be behind the three-point line, but instead, he stepped on it. So instead of winning the game, Brooklyn tied it and sent it to overtime, where they ended up losing. They were one pinky toe away from winning the series. That's a total bummer, but this next moment is just painful. Jalen Brunson got karate chopped by his own teammate.
Ooh, and a shot to the face of Brunson.
This Warriors fan was sitting courtside and ended up right in the splash zone. Blake knew exactly what he was doing, but karma caught up with him in Brooklyn when he ran into a brick wall, his own teammate.
Extra feet, oh wow. 2 Nets go down.
Blake, the guy was standing right in front of you, and you still ran into him. Come on, man. And speaking of common sense, this referee could have used some too. He got steamrolled by Devin Booker.
They want to be in the very near future. All right, K-Ray. Booker making the steal, goes down hard, and he's still on the floor.
It seemed like Booker took the hit worse than the ref, but Sam Decker had it even rougher. He was gearing up for a wide-open dunk and ended up taking a seriously unlucky fall.
Was measuring his steps and everything, man. Yeah, there we go. But the ball hit him in the face twice. No, once. Just once.
Anthony Davis got caught slipping as well when he almost got injured by a mop.
AD, look out below. Finger roll. He was almost off balance when he left.
Yeah, and he slipped on the mop down there.
Things aren't looking good. Anthony might miss 3 months after that. Meanwhile, this fan is missing their beer because Kyle Lowry accidentally knocked it out of their hands.
Falling in that front row, the fans covered. Oh.
When Kyle Lowry is falling into your lap, you better move quickly, just like Carmelo Anthony did. With only 6 seconds left, he had to launch a shot to try to win the game. But this happened.
Anthony puts up a 3, in and out!
During a jump ball, Darko Milicic accidentally put the ball into his own basket.
Oh my goodness, tapped up and in!
After the jump ball with Darko Milicic.
The man was shocked, and so was Ken Bazemore. Even though he blocked Kyle Lowry's shot, the ball still went in.
Picked by Lowry.
Drops it. Piling up the blocks. Here's Baze flying through the air, ends it, and then it goes up.
And right in the basket.
In this play, Jeremy Sochan should have been defending his face because he took a bullet pass from Russell Westbrook straight to the dome.
Lonnie was thinking about going a little back door that time for the jam.
In this game, Kobe took a shot that seemed destined to go in. He had the ball halfway down the basket, but it somehow popped out. It's like the basket's cursed or something. But this next moment is so unlucky, it should be in the Hall of Shame. A Sixers fan was chosen to shoot a half-court shot for a prize. And while in the past, some people have won TVs, brand new cars, or even $1 million, look at what this guy ended up winning.
If you make a half-court shot, everyone in here gets a Chick-fil-A biscuit. This is for everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This guy just made one of the toughest shots ever and ended up with a $3 biscuit. I really hope it came with butter because that's rough. But let's move on to the final unlucky moment. During warm-ups, Kevin Durant was messing around and punched a ball into the air. When it came down, it landed in the unluckiest spot.
And it landed on somebody. You just see a bunch of people go surround the guy. And I saw an old man with a veteran's hat on. I'm like, oh, this ain't good. It hit his glasses. It cut the man. Kevin ran to the stands, profusely apologized, left. His security guy came back and apologized and invited the man to come back to the locker room. And when the guy talked to Kevin, he said, look, you better win the game now after doing that.
Kevin gave Grandpa some serious flashbacks with that move. That was a total fail.